and welcome to GPVWC Supercup at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. So I'd like to welcome you. I'm Kacper Kolodziejczyk. Here with me in the commentary booth is Sam Jones.
Hello guys, it's good to be back once again after the sticking around, but good to be here with you as well, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of excitement here today in Spa.
And joining us on the cameras as our savior for today is Fidock. So with that out of the way, let's look at the qualifying, which has less than 5 minutes to go, and at the moment it looks like Dino Paolini is actually leading by 0.3 of a second. This is actually quite surprising considering Lars Brugman seems to have been so much quicker earlier, but it's still as he's actually finishing his lap. Yeah, it seems like Dino has found a lot of pace, and so has Wright. So from here, we should probably just go over a bit of the standings quickly as well. But Lars seemingly is starting to take the championship with 122 points. That's quite a margin, isn't it? Or 124 even.
Yeah, it's certainly looking like it's Lars by himself at the moment. John de Vries is still around, and he's still doing as much as he can. He's got podiums in all of the, well, 4 of the last 5 races, and just struggling a little bit in race 2 at Hungary, but certainly looks like Lars' championship at this moment in time.
Yeah, indeed, it's for him to lose at this stage, if anything. And it doesn't help Sven de Vries, who's 7th at the moment, who is 2nd in the championship. And he seems to just not be able to get as consistent of results as Lars can.
No, certainly not. I mean, unbelievable. Since the second round in Canada, Lars Brugman has been outside the top 2. That's just showing not only incredible consistency, but incredible form as well, especially considering each of our race 2 races are reverse grid to a certain amount of drivers as well, so it's not like he's always starting from the front and just running away with it. So it's really showing that he's pushed on, and he really is the guy who wants the championship more than anyone else right now.
That's very true, and I'm seeing now that Joe has actually improved in the first sector and has done the best time of anyone, but then slightly lost in the middle sector. At the same time, Lars Brugman has gone the fastest in the middle sector, only been 0.02 of a second off in the first sector, so we may be seeing another person coming onto the pole now.
Yeah, I think Lars has just taken pole position.
He has.
And Paolini managed to improve his lap time either, so he'll go around again, but he's running out of laps now to be able to take the fight back to him.
He's starting to run out of laps and run out of time, really, because remember that every lap here is 2 minutes, and it's only 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's such a long lap span for all of the 3 series this week. They're going to really struggle to get enough laps in around qualifying. Looks like the most any driver will really do is 7 around here. That's that's included all the in-laps and out-laps as well. So a lot of drivers are probably doing multiple laps per run. That's exactly what Brugman and Paolini are doing now. But don't rule out the likes of Tulikas and Heasterbeek, who's of course returned to the series as well. They're in 3rd and 4th, but only about half a second away. So if they could buy something from this long lap, they could certainly challenge the pole.
Yeah, definitely. At the moment, it's still anyone's game at this point. And we're seeing a lot of a gap, but again, it can all change so very quickly. So at this point, let's see if anyone is actually improving, speaking of which.
I think Paolini is second in the first sector, and Brugman was about 2 second of him, so we'll have to watch out for both of them as they continue around the second sector of this lap.
That'll be our second place man, Paolini at this very moment. He has improved in the middle sector as well. He is going on an absolute monster of a lap. He is purple in both sectors.
Yeah, he's got Sven de Vries right ahead, and then Lars Brugman ahead of that. So both two quick drivers, they shouldn't hold him up either. So this is really going to be all what it is for pole right now. In the final few seconds, we're going to find out probably.
As he's making his way through the last couple corners and on the final stretch, can he do it? Is he going to take the provisional pole? He is by another 1/10 of a second compared to Lars Brugman. Dino Paolini, our provisional pole sitter. as Ray Tulikas is only 3/10 behind him in third place.
Yeah, it was a really good lap for Paolini there. He was fastest out of anyone in all three of the sectors, so that really just goes to show that you've got to have a perfect lap right now in Supercup to be able to get pole position. It's that tight, and you're absolutely right. Tulikas is doing well here in third place. He had to start from the back in Hungary and worked his way through the field quite majestically, really. And so this time around, he'll probably be hoping for a bit of an easier race. He's still got another lap to do, as the checker flag is now out. But all the drivers who are currently on a lap can finish, so we'll see if anyone else can improve now.
Of course, and another thing I would like to mention is our returning champion Ruud Hesterbeek, or Hesterbeck. I'm terribly sorry to mispronounce the name. Is in fourth place now, just 3/10 behind Tulikas. Although that's actually quite a bit of big of a gap considering how high up he is.
Yeah, he struggled qualifying in Hungary. I think that was mainly down to the rain that really cost him. He probably wasn't quite ready for the rain. Of course, he hasn't had much in the way of practice, although he has been running other series at Darfax too, so he knows the game at least. But it much improved today, and about 6/10 off pole, and he's still got his lap to run. He's running solid times at the moment, but nothing spectacular on this lap, so we'll see if he can at least try and take on Tulikas for third place.
Well, for sure, though, is Dino Paolini is done for the session, and so is Lars Brugman. Dino is still on track, but he is not improving his time at all. He's going about 3 seconds slower in a sector now, so...
And a good effort by Dennis Gordon for who are the Evolution, of course. He's just popped himself into third. We've moved down to a 6th, as I think he speaks as he just moved back. Oh no, Sven de Vries has moved into 4th.
Yes.
As well.
Sven de Vries has put in a really good last lap. He has not been feeling very comfortable, it looks like, so far in this session, but at the very end he pulled that one lap together and allowed himself to go into 4th place.
Yeah, it's always a sign of a good... sorry, just get in there that you're able to get out of the bag when it matters, and it's not pole position, but 4th place and 2 spots behind his nearest title rival, of course, Brugman. That'll be important for him, and he speaks right behind him as well.
And so that would be our qualifying session now concluded, and this is quite interesting to see Dino Paolini overtake Lars for pole. Everyone congratulating him for the absolute monster of a lap that it was, and what a monster it was indeed. Records in all sectors. That's not something you see every day.
No, it's certainly not, and I think it does show really what Paolini had to do to get pole there. It was a good lap from Brugman as well. The two of them really gapped the field a little bit, and we'll see if Paolini can convert that into a win, because of course he's got a pole before this season. I think he actually did it last time out in Hungary as well, and he's picked up 2nd place 3 times during this year as well now, but he's yet to get a win. And he actually hasn't stood on the 3rd step of the podium either, but I think today he'll certainly be looking for the top step.
I was just looking through the gaps just before we went over the session, over to the next session. And I've just seen 3 separate gaps of 2 drivers being within 10,000ths of a second of each other. This is crazy. One of them was Sven de Vries in front of Hesterbeck, which was literally 3,000ths of a second. That is absolutely immense. That's about as close as probably probably a length of a normal human hair.
Yeah, you certainly couldn't see it, could you? It was that good. And to be fair though, that's exactly what Supercup is about. It's always been close. We worried this year with the move to R-Factor 2 that maybe Supercup would become strung out a bit. But somehow, I don't know how they managed to keep it absolutely on a razor edge, super close in this league, and I think that's why it produces some absolutely fantastic racing week in, week out as well, and it's the caliber of drivers is also very good to see.
Oh yes, for sure. It's the caliber here seems to be one of the higher ones here, of course. Although we, of course, do have a slightly higher ranking series here. Well, supposedly, the Super League series that's happening tomorrow. But we still enjoyed this series just as much. It's of course completely different type of enjoyment because here we have equal cars. We do not have a fixed setup, of course, so people gain advantage in this fashion rather than having a car that's quicker. So that's one thing. That's one of the good driver properties, I'd say. It's someone who can make a setup that's drivable but quick as well and doesn't destroy tires, and that's probably why Lars is doing so well throughout the season as well. Not only being a fast driver, but being a good setup. A person who can set up the car well. And honestly, this track, in my opinion, is probably one of the most setup-dependent tracks there is.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right, actually, to be honest, because it is such a unique track. It's so long, and there's so many straights on it, and yet you've still got this very tight and, well, twisty, flowing middle sector. So, and a couple of really slow corners in the first sector as well. So you can't just rely on running a little downforce like a monster setup and get away with it. You've got to try and find the balance here, and the bumps as well. The suspension always comes into play also. So I'd actually agree with you on that one. How important it is to find a setup around here, and of course that coupled with a very strong driver is always going to be aggressive.
Oh, for sure, and honestly, the easiest way to see for yourself is to go out and try it in your own sim and attempt to go through over routes at very low downforce. You kind of really have to have your car set up well to even be able to go through there at full throttle in most cars.
Yeah. Luckily in Formula Challenge, I found it okay yesterday. It wasn't too much of an issue, so that was nice. But it certainly can be quite an issue sometimes, and it's very bumpy through there as well. I noticed a lot of this track is quite smooth, but you go through that section and you really start to feel the car bounce around. Just looking back over qualifying as well, just to see the interesting names. I noticed James Wilson from Kajala Racing got into the top 15. Now, I've not come across him before. I don't know if he's been around in the last couple of rounds.
I haven't really come across him here, I think if I recall correctly, he did extremely well at Hockenheim. He finished in like top 5 or something in the second race. So he is definitely a quick driver, and I have personally encountered him on a couple occasions and raced them wheel to wheel in touring cars before.
Excellent. So that'll be good news for Kajala then, because of course they're in a very tight scrap at the moment in the Constructors or the Teams Championship. They're just about 6 points behind Ice Cold Racing, and another 3 points and TG Racing. So between those 3 teams for 8th, 9th and 10th, that's very close. So if he can bring a lot of points to the team, that's certainly something they'll be very pleased about at the end of the season.
We're going to just have to wait and see, of course, the 2 races. Actually, it's kind of interesting as well because of how long the track is. The number of laps for the 2 races seems so low, but they're going to be just as long as any other race. So that's always interesting to keep an eye on, really.
Yeah, it does seem that you start. I noticed yesterday at the start of the race, because it was only 11 laps before the challenge. It was kind of like, well, it's going to go pretty quickly, and so it got to about mid-race distance, and I was ready to stop then. I pretty much had enough at that point, and we'd only done about 5.5 laps, so yeah. But of course, that'll be interesting for strategy as well, because it just means that probably during the pit stop phase, everything's going to tighten up a little bit more than usual.
Yes, what's very interesting is that obviously that will also mean that people are going to be so much. The pit stop spread is going to be so much less on the basis that essentially if you are semi-marginal on your tires, you don't want to risk it for another lap because it's just so long and you will lose so much throughout a 2-minute lap.
Yeah, and it's exactly where we might see the undercuts come in and really take an effect then. So that'll be interesting in some of the close battles, which I'm sure we'll have, especially in the midfield. It's always very tight in the midfield, and a driver like Paulini, who often comes in early that could really be the type of guy that could be rewarded by maybe pitting 1 or 2 laps earlier than most of the field.
I'm not exactly sure personally, considering he is starting from the pole. Undercut usually works a bit better if you're slightly behind and if you're being blocked by other drivers. So we will always have to just wait and see. It's really just a game of, well, who's gonna blink first, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Paolini might not even be leading at that point. We don't know what's going to happen. It's very tricky first couple of corners here. You've got a very tight right-hander hairpin, extremely slow, and it's very easy for someone to out themselves and hit the guy in front. And of course, through a rouge on cold tyres in the first lap, that's going to be very tricky as well.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be very tricky indeed. Source always causes some massive issues with race starts, and I don't think I've seen a clean race start there in a very long time. So I just hope we will get one this time around.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just that corner is just so very tight. It is a hairpin, and it's the first corner with a very short rundown into it, and with a very wide exit. So that's why you always see people driving to the outside. It's mostly just for the safety concerns, because it's just there's no way for everyone to fit through that corner.
Yeah, of course, the barriers used right up against the track there in the old days, didn't it? And there was the infamous crash back in 1998 in Formula 1 as well, so that's probably why they've certainly widened that area. And of course, it cabbers down in the corner at the apex as well, so very easy to spin the car on exit if you just get a bit too greedy on the power.
Yeah, it is definitely one of those very tricky corners where just this one mistake, just because you're going so slow, will cost you so very much. As our drivers are starting to grid up, we're just about 5 seconds from going on our formation lap, and all the drivers are just beginning to go now. And let me go through your starting grid, since we do have 2.5 minutes to go, but it's better to go through them now. So we on pole we have Dino Paolini, second Lars Brugman, with third Sven de Vries, fourth Ruud Hesterbeck, fifth Ray Tulikas, with 6th Dennis Jordan, 7th Borja Milan, 8th Niels Brugman, 9th Wopke Hostra, 10th Jason Muska, 11th Strand, 12th David Frantic, 13th Adrian Holm, 14th Scott Beresford, 15th James Wilson, 16th Tobias Kolodziejczyk, 17th Tobias Olsen, 18th Lewis McGlade, 19th Mark Fuller, 20th Menno Klont, and with 21st is our first penalty of 5 places down, Matt Strand, and then our back of the grid penalties of Edgar Rees, Argenis Riera, and James Early. So that will be your starting grid for today's first race, our feature-length race, I guess, is what we can call it.
Yeah, I didn't see that Strand is back then for satellite racing. They've certainly been switching around their second driver this season, and that's really kind of cost the team a little bit, because of course they've had Sven de Vries picking up lots of points, but they haven't really had a second driver to consistently get the points alongside him. So that's why down only a third in the championship, but could have been much closer to Street Fighter, because it really is a bit strung out at the top.
Yes, of course, it's always about the consistency here. You can have a very fast driver, but if he can't deliver every race, it's really kind of worthless in some fashion, really, since you can't just. If you don't have the results coming in constantly, you're just not able to finish up in the high end points. Really. So, what really does, again, we're going to have to wait and see how James Wilson does, but it kind of makes me a bit sad seeing him so far down there.
Yeah, I didn't actually realise how he's done it in the last couple of rounds. That's a really good effort by Abe. He said, well, I'd be interested to see what he can do. He's got some strong drivers around him. Adrian Holm down in 13th. I'd expect him to be up near more like the top 5, especially in qualifying, and David Frantic, who's maybe struggled a little bit this season, and Strana, who I think a lot of people expect a bit more. He had a good show in Canada though, so definitely a bunch of strong drivers around him, but could all change of course in this first couple of corners as the cars
It of course can.
now.
It of course can, and we do have indeed drivers stopping on their marks now, and we're going to just have to wait and see. Wait for another probably few seconds before everyone stops on their marks, and then we're going to start the race. And this could be a very exciting one for Dino Paolini, who's starting from pole. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we're off. Dino Paolini does go a bit slow off the road. Huge crash in the back. We have literally everyone involved from... Oh my god, that is literally about 10th place down. Everyone has been involved. This is an absolute nightmare for all the drivers. I mean, Jinx Wilson has gone up 6 pieces in this absolute mess. Menok gone more. Lars Bergman actually went to the lead.
Not quite sure what that happens now, actually being challenged again by Paolini, but Sven de Vries actually dived up the inside of Paolini and taken 2nd place.
Paolini is not doing very well for himself on the first lap, so he seemed slow off the line, and now he just doesn't seem to have the speed. And at the moment, Lars is under attack from Sven, while Dino Paolini has to be defending from Wraith, who's extremely quick at this very moment at the end of the race. Could it be cold tires?
I'm not sure what it was. He didn't get off the line too well either, so perhaps he's just shaking a little bit. I'm wondering if we're going to see a red flag or two, because that was a huge instance. Oh yeah, red flag has been confirmed, so the race will be aborted and restarted effectively.
That is... I'm not surprised. Absolutely not surprised. I think literally every car down from possibly 6th or 7th place has been involved in that accident. This will be a full restart, right? So it will be a fully restarted race. This has never happened, and essentially this was just a test start, you could say, which is this is not exactly great.
Yeah, just trying to work out what's happened there. To see the chat, because Heathbeak was the one that triggered it. He didn't get off the line at all. He just didn't go. So I'm wondering if he stalled it, maybe he dropped the clutch without anti-stall on and just stalled the car. And that just triggered it all him from 4th spot that he started in. And
I always thought that these cars had anti-stall that you cannot turn off. So this is even weirder. Was it just... I'm not entirely sure, but you can still bog down. That's still a very possible...
Yeah, but I didn't actually see the car move at all. It was just like he wasn't there or something. Very weird instance. And of course, the one car came and hit him from behind, and that speared that car across the track, and that was effectively a roadblock then. And that's all it took to cause the entire field from about, like you said, 6th place downwards to get caught up in it. I think Lewis McGlade, Menok Clont, and James Wilson managed to get through, so they'll be kind of feeling it now. They're going to have to start a bit further back than where they were before the red flag came out.
Apparently the anti-stall activated on formation lap, and then on the grid the engine died.
The engine died? Okay.
The only times I've ever heard of an engine dying in a standing still position is when it overheats to, well, the red zone really is what you would call it.
Yeah, and we would have seen that. We would have seen smoke pouring from the car if it overheated, and
yeah,
it'd take more than a few seconds, wouldn't it?
It would certainly take more than a few seconds of just not driving. This is a very odd situation, but we are moving to the race and we are doing the full restart now.
This is... Oh, hang on, have we got mine?
So welcome back to the...
I don't even think I don't even know if we've got live yet, to be honest. Have we, David?
The broadcast is apparently on, so...
Oh, we have?
Back. Yes.
Oh Lord, the world can hear us!
Yes, they can. Welcome back, everyone, and extremely sorry for the inconvenience, and hopefully this stream is going to now work properly without delays. So, while all of that